A lot of electric car owners are reluctant to drive outside of the city because almost all electric cars and many other fossil fuel cars these days, new ones, are sold without a spare wheel of any sort, not even a space saver. All you get is usually a bottle of goo underneath the boot floor, and that's not really great for tires, is it, Bruce?
No, it's not, because what actually happens is the goo can go in large volumes and actually put your tire out of balance, which means you're going to wear it out quicker and also feel the vibrations through the steering wheel, and it just generally affects the handling of the car. Basically, what happens is you'll write the tire off after you've got yourself home. It can't be salvaged. So in a lot of cases, it will render the tire unusable, basically. Yeah. Quite often times it'll be like a $600 or $800. So it's a very expensive way of doing it. And that's basically paid for your spare tire right there. So you can be aware of, a lot of people aren't aware of that. They think that they can just go and get the tire patched up and use it again, but that's simply not the case. Because the amount of goo, it might be like 100 grams, doesn't sound like a lot, but with the centrifugal force on the tire, it can put it out of balance. You know, when we're balancing tires, 50 grams is significant. So 100 grams will be enough to put the tire out of balance.
Please contribute. It really helps my independent, honest journalism for you.
Yeah. When I had my own car wheel balanced recently, and they were putting little tiny weights, way less than 100 grams to make it all perfect. Yeah, it's interesting. Okay. And I forgot to mention, Bruce and his team from Braumach basically fill the capability gap left by EV manufacturers and other fossil fuel car manufacturers by providing high-quality space-saver spare wheels for many popular brands of electric cars out there. So I'm going to chat with Bruce, and we're going to learn lots about spare wheels, and that can make your electric car road trips stress-free. If you're going to buy a Braumach spare wheel, you can help my channel by buying it through the link in the description of this video, and that will help support my channel, and that will mean you still get the same spare wheel at the same price. So thank you. You can learn a lot from this video about spare wheels, because I think knowledge is a bit patchy out there, especially with people not having a lot of mechanical experience anymore and relying on road service assistance. Something Bruce and his team have been doing, which is really helpful, is making actual videos on the Braumach YouTube channel. I'll show some of those clips of those on screen, and then a link to the full YouTube channel in the description so you can have a look at them. So you can actually see exactly how to swap one yourself, just so you have confidence in how to do it. Is that correct, Bruce? And you're adding more all the time?
Yeah, that's right. We're adding more and more, and we've also got videos there from customers doing the same. So
Nice.
For all the different models. So there's probably 50 different models up there now. So, and new ones getting added every week. So hopefully we'll have your model.
Excellent. Because nothing beats a demonstration.
That's right. Yeah. So everyone can be a YouTube mechanic then.
I know someone who had a flat tire in a multi-level car park with an EV, and they realized the height of the roof in that multi-level car park was pretty low, and a normal tow truck couldn't get in. So if they'd had a spare, they could have just called NRMA, RACV, whatever, and swapped it out or done it themselves. But they were in a bit of trouble. They had to get a special towing company to come out instead. Have you heard of that kind of thing happening?
Yeah, many times. We get sort of similar anecdotes every day, pretty much. Similar sort of thing happened to me. I was going over the Westgate Bridge, which is literally k's from the CBD, and you can literally see it from there. And I got a blowout as I got onto the bridge, and I had to drive very carefully over the Westgate Bridge and park there on Williamstown Road and wait for the Tesla roadside assistance, which took 3 hours, k's from the CBD. So there you go. And then they basically, of course, it was Tesla roadside assistance, so they had a full-size spare wheel, but it just goes to show you, can happen to anyone, anywhere. it's 3 hours is a pretty significant chunk out of your day, you know.
So we're going to go through a bunch of other tips beyond having a good spare wheel is a good idea, but they're not all made the same. You were explaining to me previously about Hub-Centric design.
Well, yeah, basically you'll get a lot of generic wheels and they may well fit your bolt pattern, but they don't sit on the hub. So it's something to be aware of. You get a lot of people in forums and they'll talk about going to the wreckers and buying a second-hand wheel that you can use. And, you know, in some cases that works fine, but it may well be a wheel that's used for a significantly heavier vehicle. And also quite often you'll see tires on eBay that are 20 years old, you know, which is probably not a great idea, especially on a EV or a SUV.
Yeah, actually, that's a really good point. Say someone has one of your spares or a full-size spare, any kind of spare. Is there a general use-by date, like food, on tires? Or
well, yeah,
do people stash them forever for 15 years?
Yeah, well, they're affected by all the usual environmental things like the ultraviolet light, as well as just general wear and tear and fatigue. Because most tires use natural rubber, and it does just fatigue over time. It's just a fact. So in the tyre industry, they generally say 7 years. Yeah, because of the tires they go hard and they lose grip and flexibility. So obviously, you know, the side walls of the tires are going to flex, and that if they are hard, then they're just going to fall apart, basically.
Besides lifespan, something else to bear in mind, which I didn't even realize till I got one of your Space Saver spares for my MG4, is that the PSI that you've got to keep it at is way higher than a normal one. Mine is 60 for my spare. Is that pretty standard for a Space Saver spare?
Yeah, it's standard for most spares, if not all. The standard pressure setting is 60 psi, or 41 kph. That's pretty standard. Given the volume of air in there, it has to be significantly higher pressure to, you know, in the weight.
Because it's smaller.
Because of the smaller the smaller.
Okay. Now, if someone does buy one of your Space Savers, do you have any recommendations? Because I see some people are super careful and they're like me, they tied it down properly under the boot floor. Another option, if you don't have passengers in the back seat, I've seen, is to put it in the passenger footwell and push the seats right back up to it. So it basically can't move anywhere.
Basically, we have like 300 different applications. So it's going to depend on what you have available in that particular model, because what you'll find is each year model and each variant of that particular model has a different amount of space and different securing points as well. Yeah, it's really going to depend on what you have available. But yeah, obviously we'd suggest you secure it in the best way that you can.
Oh, that is a good point. I'd forgotten. Like, my wheels are 18, but people have a lot of electric cars and other cars these days have 19, 20, 21. So that's going to be substantially bigger in size and trickier to try and stash anywhere.
Yeah, what you find is a lot of the larger EVs will have 22-inch wheels, and a lot of European cars as well. Yeah, good luck finding tires for those when you're out there in outback Australia or in a regional area.
Actually, that's a really good point. Personally, I'm not a fan of the fashion of car manufacturers to keep pushing us towards larger and larger wheels, because they're heavier. Usually the ride quality is not as good, even if you add fancy suspension things as well. It just adds weight, it adds cost, it adds, if you're going to replace them, it means they're harder to replace. I've noticed, like, one of my friends has a Polestar 2. They have different ones at the front and the back. So depending on which one blows, you might have to swap them around a bit or get two spares. Or, yeah, how does that work?
Well, yeah, for some models, they'll have monster calipers on them as well. So you can fit the spare on the back, but not on the front. So that's
Right.
another issue, especially with some of the Polestars with the Brembo calipers on them on the front. They're absolutely enormous. So, yeah, we currently don't have a solution for those particular models, but yeah, it does create a problem where there's just nothing commercially available that's going to fit on the front.
Wow. Actually, that brings up a really good point as well. So some electric cars are front-wheel drive, some are rear-wheel drive. Is there a better location for the spare to be used? Should it be on the driving wheels or on the other ones?
Yeah, well, ideally, it's best to have your original size wheels on the front if you can do that.
Front-wheel drive, you mean, or regardless?
Well, regardless, because conventional wisdom suggests that you have your best tires on the steering wheels. And that's how it is on trucks, because with trucks, they'll have retreads on the back and the best tires on the front. They won't put retreads on the front steering tires on a truck, for example. Because, I mean, if you do have a blowout on the front, it can be potentially catastrophic, you know. So it's always best to have the best tires on the front.
Right. So that means if one of my front tires blew, then, and I let the professionals do it, I'm not going to get out there on the side of the highway and try and do it, especially on like a cambered slope or something. I'll let roadside assist do it, but then I would ask them to swap it.
You know, if it's pouring rain, it's pitch dark, you're probably going to just put the first tire on you have available and get yourself to the nearest tire place to have it fixed properly.
Depends if you're not in a rush, then yeah, try and...
Yeah, get your best tires on the front. Yeah.
Okay. Speaking of which, if someone does have to put one of your Space Saver spares on, I've noticed with different brands of Space Savers, some of them say you can only drive it like under 100 kilometers, but say you're halfway between two places in Australia where 100 kilometers is like a rounding error. How far can your particular brand go?
We're pretty confident that you can probably drive at 2,000 kilometres if you had to. However, and we have had anecdotal evidence of people driving 500 Ks on it. So, but what we would suggest is that you get to a tyre repair place at your nearest, fastest available time. Yeah. Because we don't recommend driving any further than you really have to. But, you know, if you've driven in Western Australia, for example, you'll know that it could be 500 Ks to the next town.
It's a public holiday, for argument's sake. So obviously, yes, keep the distance driven on the spare as short as possible. But it's not like the tire, the Braumach spare is not going to fall apart after 50 or 100 kilometers.
No.
It can keep going if it has to.
Yeah, that's right. As long as you stick to the 80 Ks. While we're on that topic, as far as like the range you can go, that's something that a lot of people don't know about. The run flat tires is that they only recommend you go 80 kilometres. It's not something they advertise, obviously. You can only drive 80 Ks on the run flats.
Oh.
Talking to people that have done that, they've said the tire's absolutely destroyed after driving 80 kilometres. And they're, probably $800 a corner. So something to consider if you think that, if you're driving in outback Queensland and you think the run flats are going to get you 500 Ks, then you might be disappointed. So something that...
So I guess you have most of the popular electronic car brands and models covered, like Tesla, Kia. What about all of the new brands that are coming up?
Like I said to you earlier, we're basically adding new makes and models every week. Yeah, quite literally every week. Starting to get inquiries about the Zeekr 7X.
Yes.
And the Deepal, I think it's EOS 7, is it? If there's the demand, we'll see if we can configure what we have in stock, because we've got a pretty huge range of different wheels and tyre configurations. So it's got to be fairly obscure for us not to be able to cater for it.
Okay. So it's not like every single one you need to get shipped over a new version. You've got a lot of combinations, test out and see what fits properly and safely.
We'll look at the data and match it to what we have in stock. And also, obviously, we need to test fit it to make sure of the wheel offset and caliper clearance and all the usual things that you'd expect with wheels to make sure that they fit and perform without, if the offset's not correct, it might interfere with ball joints and steering joints as well. Yeah, something else to be aware of.
Okay. Now, do people usually just buy the wheel, or do they also get the sort of jack kit with the
Most
rest
people
of the
buy the
equipment?
complete kit. Usually suggest people do that because there's a lot of cheap jacks on eBay that people selling, and they may well do the job fine, but they tend to be a little bit undersized because obviously EVs are, generally speaking, a little bit heavier than their ICE counterparts. Yeah, so we tend to be a little bit oversized rather than undersized. So there's a good margin to safety as well as we'll have the particular jacking pucks, for example, that the Tesla uses its own style of puck that's located underneath the car in the correct position so you don't damage the battery. It's something you need to be aware of. Unfortunately, what can happen is that if you go to a tyre place, they can just put the jack in any position underneath the battery, which is a really bad idea. Something to be aware of. Yeah. So the jack puck it basically has two functions, I guess. It makes certain that you're jacking in the correct position in the right balanced spot, as well as not jacking where the battery is. It's on a structural part of the vehicle, which is separate to the battery.
People may not realize this because a lot of the brands, if they talk to journalists or they'll talk to regular punters, they'll be like, no, you don't need a spare. This can is fine. Or don't talk about it. It's irrelevant. You can just use RACV, etc. All good. Don't worry about it. So something Bruce told me a while ago, which I found really interesting, is that a lot of car brands, electric car brands and dealer groups actually on the quiet keep space saver spares stashed in the back room or warehouse somewhere because the reality is they want to sell their cars. And if you turn up and say, oh, I want to buy that car, but it doesn't have a spare, I'm going to walk away and buy something else, or some local business person turns up or a government official and says, we want to buy 10 or 20 of these EVs. Oh, it doesn't have a spare. Well, we'll just buy something else. They want to have an option to make you not walk away. Is that actually the case?
I think if the difference is between selling a car and not selling a car, they'll sell a car. Yeah.
Yeah. So most brands out there that people have heard of, there's a chance that some of those dealers will be able to source a Braumach spare or have one there ready to show as a demo already.
Yes.
Okay. That's interesting. Excellent. Now, is there anything else? Like, what are the kind of things that people ask your customer service team all the time?
Probably one of the most frequently asked questions is just in regard to the wheel size, because quite often people will specify that they have a 20-inch wheel and our wheels are only 18 or 19, as the case may be, and we'll match the overall diameter of the tyre rather than the wheel. So the rolling radius or the diameter of the tyre is what we match rather than the wheel size, taking into account things like the brake rotor size and that sort of thing. Obviously fairly critical that you can fit your brake rotor inside the wheel.
Thanks for your time, Bruce.
Thanks for liking, subscribing, and sharing my videos. It really helps me make more videos like this for you. And have a look at the suggested videos up above. I'm pretty sure you'll like those as well. Thanks, and see you later.